Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production. I am joined by my co-caster, co-commentator, co-compatriot, co-creator. Yeah, I switched up the order again just
hmm
to keep everyone on their toes here. But I'm joined by Rob, of course, and we are doing a couple more of these CC gameplay replays that we mentioned in our last one, the Draw My Lexi game. We're doing another two or three of these. So the second one we have is actually one of the Swiss games, because you wouldn't believe how hard it is to find a game without without just like Lexi and or Dromai
hmm
both in the game here that are streamed. There are some others that we found though. So we have Lexi versus Levia. That is not a typo. It was actually Lexi versus Levia or Levia or however you want to
Yeah,
call it. So
officially Levia, I guess.
this is I'm just gonna call him Al. That's a very long name to say the Lexi player here, Alvardo. No,
Alvaro.
Alvaro Francisco. Yeah, no, that's too many. I'm just gonna call him Al. Then we got
Yeah.
Alan on the right here playing Levi. I think he plays in
Alan.
California.
Oh. Oh, it's that
Yeah,
Alan. All right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think he plays out of California. I think I saw him play the Age Open. He played Levia also. So point being here is this is round four. The actual standings are not correct. So they are both actually 3-0. So this is the backup game to the other round four game. They are both actually 3-0. And I don't know how many Levias were in the Pro Tour main event, to be honest with you, but the the interesting thing here is just before the game kind of started, we're playing the game, you're starting out with starting equipment here. We see the cross strap coming in with Levia. I don't know if I don't know if we've ever not seen Husk on Levia, right? So I guess we could start the game.
Yeah, no
I
husk.
guess
That's an
the
interesting choice.
cross strap is definitely more aggressive, right? Because you can essentially pay for a free like swing,
hmm
right? A free swing of whatever. Here we do see Levia going first. I assume the boots are going to be snaps. There's a little bit of glare on the left there for Lexi, but we do just see the regular quiver of rustling leaves. I assume it snaps, and then bullseye, New
hmm
Horizon, tunic. So
Yeah, very
I want to
standard on
like,
the Lexi side. We've seen this
yeah,
equipment layout time and time again,
many a time. Yeah.
many a
So
time.
we do see Al here, Alvaro. I guess I can just call him Alvaro. I'm not gonna do the full name though here. So
Oh yeah,
Alvaro loading in the
we're under
searing
breath.
shot. He's doing, yeah, a little bit. So we're going to look at him just setting up the 6 card hand. Pretty standard for, I think Lexi usually wants to go second, so it could be that Levi. Oh, this is, look at the crisp snappiness of Alan there, just
hmm
slamming down that. See how fast he did that there? I don't know if you saw how quickly he just like
Yep.
threw that beast within at him. Um,
Yeah, it was a
so
double beast within hand, if I caught that correctly.
oh
So
yeah, look,
very
I see it. Oh,
low
there's a,
power hand, but
oh,
it's a
we
card that
see
he
the
can
pummel.
play. Doesn't require
Huh?
banishing, right? So as Levia, you're okay with that. And he added pummel. Yeah,
Big
okay.
pummel piece, big pummel that beat was it. I
Wow.
bet Alvaro here is kind of just like, am I the luckiest player to see this Levi, or am I the unluckiest player to see this Levi on source
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
But
This is.
we do see 10 to the face and discard a card. Now, to be fair, Lexi's gonna have 5 cards instead of 6 cards. So as far as the pummel doing like real work, the Beast Within has no on hit. I don't think many Levia cards have on
No.
any of them other than CNC, which is not a Levia card, but
Yeah.
they don't really have on hits. It's really just about damage here. So
Mhm.
I think based on what I see, I remember that this Levia build is actually the bloodless. So no
No
blood
blood
death.
rush. Or no, sorry, no blood debt. I see.
That's why you see no carry on husk, because
Mm,
you can't turn it on. Turn it off. Sorry, you
turn it
can't
off.
use Levia to turn off the blood debt for the turn because
Okay.
of your yeah. Once you block with the husk and it's in there, it's going to be killing you.
Yes, I'm interested to
So we
know
do
like
see,
what makes Levia so a card a deck that you want to play without the blood debt mechanic, right? Like, is it because
insane.
of her dark cards that are not blood debt related? Maybe like
And
puppetry.
there's
Puppetry is a great card. I guess cards she has access to that make the archetype work without blood debt. So I'm actually excited to see how this pans out for Levia.
yeah. So we did see a very early snaps out of Alvaro. He did have a double arrow, so he snaps. He had snaps out the searing. Kind of interesting. We saw this out of Matthew Folks earlier too. That's just like the very early snaps play. But in this big case, I don't think Alvaro had a choice. He had double arsenal, double arrow arsenal. He didn't have a choice. He had to snaps.
Yeah, because you can't
Whereas I
load
think
with Voltaire if your
you can't
arsenal's
load Voltaire.
filled up. Yeah.
I think Matt Folks only had one card in the art. I think he just had the Heat Seeker in the arsenal, but he ended up like starting with snapsing it or something like that. So in this
Right.
particular game, Navarro really had no option here. Interesting that he chose to go with the double arrow turn 0. Like he knowingly arsenaled which is fine. I'm curious what else was in his hand. Like, was that tome in his hand? Like, I hope not. I hope he didn't have the choice of just getting
Mm,
the tome out there,
right,
because that's infinitely better than forcing
right.
yourself to snaps here.
Because you can play tome out, and then you could use your
Yeah, you'd have to
Voltaire.
just you'd have to discard a card, but like in reality, it's kind of like okay, but
Oh,
he doesn't have a go again arrow
we're
to
seeing
get
the
put in here.
CNC into Levia. Interesting. I guess if you're hedging into Blood Rush Bellow, maybe that's a fine
Yeah,
play. But Levia has a lot of 3 blocks.
Levia has a lot of 3 blocks, but it looks like there's a bunch of 2 blocks in
I'm seeing
Alan's
Pummel. I'm
hands here.
seeing D-React, maybe a Reckless Swing in there. So gonna have
You're
a
right.
hard time blocking this CNC. Actually, it might be unblockable.
Oh, it looks like he's just gonna take. Oh, this is the
This is
discard for
just the
the tome.
frailty. Yeah,
Yeah, this is the discard for the Tome of Frailty, and then we do just see the CNC. So
yeah.
pretty.
This is a little
I-
unlucky.
eh,
Oh, okay. He had riled
oh,
up,
this round's on
and
me.
this
This
round's
round's
on
on me.
me.
Yep. Probably into the ninjas, very good. Also, like fairly
Hmm.
good blocking the wide decks, like the aggressive decks, like Lexi, because
Yeah,
it uses the breakpoints, right? So your fours become
yeah,
threes, your sevens become sixes. Way easier to block for Levia here,
100%.
and he's able to just like bravo it up, essentially pitch a
Hmm.
card, swing back a six, like that's very
Yeah,
like Bravo esque, just coming back with like 2 card hands, like you like pitched a hammer, or in this case, Bravo would have just double pitched a hammer and no those create a seismic kind of thing. So very very similar kind of play style looks like for this Leviathan deck. I would say that Alvaro's opening hand must have been pretty bad to double
hmm,
arrow, double arsenal the arrow, and then you have a tome. You're getting CNC, like
right. You're kind of breaking a little bit.
you don't have snaps anymore. Alan's still on 35.
Hmm.
It's fun note. Alan's just casually using crayons.
Crayola. Yeah,
Third court
it reminds me back of
reminds me
the
of a
Starvo meta.
Starvo, right?
The
I was about to
Starvo
say,
meta, people using crayons.
did you play a player in the calling who used crayons in
Yeah,
the very last match? I
it
remember
was
that
the
one. That was your
qualifier round for day
that was a
two.
winning in. Yeah, that was your winning in
Yeah,
for day two. I remember. Yeah,
it
that was hilarious.
was a Starvo mirror. He gave me some Crayola, giant Crayola markers or crayons to keep
Yeah.
track of health. It was really
So,
funny.
so this makes a lot more sense on Alvaro's side. The Falcon Wing, the double Falcon, because Falcon Wing can come out because it already has go again, right? So
Yeah.
you're able to easily double Arsenal with the Falcon Wing. Load up, he's got a
Hmm.
bolt and shot, and
I think
here it's
Levia's just
interesting.
taking everything here.
Like if he had snaps, it's a little more interesting that you snaps out like sedation shot, and then you load bolt and shot. You have the empty arsenal, and then you're actually able to use the bolt and shot correctly.
Mm.
By correctly, I mean you're able to fire that last arrow because you load the second arrow with go again,
Yep.
and then you fire that sedation shot. In this particular case, he already started with Falcon Wing as a double, so he's able to go for that 4 arrow hand, because he
Hmm.
has Tunic up here, right? So that's actually one of the big things where Falcon Wing is great, because you want to have as many cards on the Lexi side that you can 6 card hand with and not be depressed. And most
Yeah.
arrows you cannot do that without snaps.
Right.
If you get Bolton shot and you happen to get a buff, then you're fine. If you
Yeah.
happen to get a buff,
Lexi does run
however,
low on buffs, but Voltaire is, a hell of a drug, so you could always give it +1,
it is.
but you only run Rain Razor, I think,
You
in the
need,
deck.
yeah,
Or and Premeditate,
Red
maybe.
Razors, premeditate. You could run Yuki's list runs a couple of the pumps, the frailty pump, 0 for 3s,
Okay.
blood
Just
rot
to be
pump.
extra disruptive.
Yeah, so it is possible, but oh, looks like we got scabs. Oh, he's really shit. Oh my god, this man is convulsing.
This is
Alan's
he's
just
in
give
Vegas
a,
right now, just trying to get.
what? I don't know where the dice went.
We'll bring it on screen.
Oh,
Okay.
2.
1 action point. He does have gamblers, but of course you do not waste gamblers on a 2. You always keep it in case you get a 1.
I think
Pro
also
Reinhardt tip.
pro Reinhardt tip. You're Alan's looking real good here, honestly, in my opinion. Like he's only down. He's up to
He's
life.
actually up.
He's a
I
good
believe he
in
kept his full hand,
snaps.
and it included a
Yeah.
CNC. So although Lexi's out of Arsenal cards, so CNC's not going to be that potent, right? So Lexi's probably going to be okay to take this, but we'll get to a point probably very soon in the next 2 or 3 turns where Lexi can't just take vanilla damage anymore. This is Lexi's opportunity to take the damage and trade more efficiently than Levia can. But it seems like he's having a hard time doing that. So it's interesting. Like
There's
Levia
still,
is basically playing like vanilla Reinar right now. Like there's really Reinar without a class ability, right?
yeah.
That's literally just blocking in 6 pump cards, with Pummel, I might add.
Yeah, I'm sure he runs some of the Shadow Brute stuff,
He
which is
must.
probably the reason he's
Puppetry is
playing.
just so good.
Puppetry is quite good, but also I think there's like Endless Maw cards like that. But then again,
It
they're
does
they're
it
not.
does banish, but it is a good finisher. It is a 3 for 9, right?
Yeah.
Which you can still play. I mean, you you would want to use it near the end of the game, of course, because getting blood dead
Mhm.
that early will cost you the game, right? You can't keep paying
Sure.
for it and not banishing.
That makes sense. We're gonna see a
Oh, wow, yeah.
tunic
So
block.
we're seeing at least 2 arrows that were used to block here.
Heat
I
Seeker.
wonder why he opted to block 10. Maybe just to
Pummel?
prevent a pummel. Yeah, because he knew that the Levia took all that damage, right? And coming with a CNC now with a full hand, you expect pummel, right? You gotta.
Mm,
He kept the full hand. He's just coming with CNC.
sure. I think it is. I mean, Alvaro here didn't have an arsenal last turn, so he just had his 3 cards. Giving up the tunic there, I guess
Interesting,
to
right?
get to, I guess to get to 10.
Oh, that's the
Now we
titanium, the
see we
titanium
see
bauble.
a titanium bauble
I heard
pitching
about this.
Blood Rush Billows. Yeah, no, that's a legitimate card.
Does it
You're
block? It
allowed to
blocks
use
three,
it.
right?
It blocks for 3.
Yeah,
If it's not a regular bauble, it's a
it's a
titanium bauble.
titanium bauble. Yeah. Oh
So we
man.
see
So
looks like
a swing big was the card. That would be a card that he'd like to keep. I assume it is one of the premium attacks in the deck that
Mhm.
don't banish, of course.
Yes, that's true. So we just see some claws. It
Yeah,
looks like Alan's list is fairly resource flush. Like there's a fair amount of resource cards. So I think paying for
claw, and then a 6 attack card will probably
claw
happen.
claw. I
Of
guess
course, he's
he
got
yeah,
the chess piece that can give him 2 resources.
true. He's yeah, I guess he's breaking the chain. I don't think it really matters at this point though. Does Blood Rush is just for the turn. It
It's
doesn't
the
say the
whole
chain.
turn. Yeah, you don't care about the
So you're
chain.
fine.
Blood Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell of a card. Yeah.
Two very, very good card. I mean, I think Brood would be dead in the water without it. I don't
It's
think
like the
Brood
only
death
card
would
that
be
lets you keep
even
up, right?
yeah, it's the only card that breaks your math, like in a
Yeah,
good way, right?
yeah.
So see Lexi just obviously had a good enough hand, has the arsenal,
hmm
going with
Oh, Smash with
Smash
Big
with a big
Tree.
tree.
So a non-blocking card. Um,
8.
but
No, 9. I lied.
it should be 9. Oh yeah, the dice only goes up to 8. Actually, wait, does it?
No, it goes up to
It
9.
does go up to
Listen,
9. I've got a
Alan
9
just
right
not
here.
Alan just like ignoring that fact.
I gotta have extra flair on that. 2 dice. Yeah. All right.
We
So
do see
Lexi
infecting
taking, I
shot.
believe, might be 3 damage there.
Looks like 4 because Death Touch blocks
Oh, it
for
was a
2.
two
Infecting
block.
Shot, Death Touch.
Uh,
Yeah, so 9 on 5. So he's taking 4 going to 11.
I am pleasantly
So
surprised by how aggressive the Levia deck is.
5 5. So
I
he
did
did
not
18
expect
off
that.
that Blood Rush. That's
Yep.
pretty good.
That's on par with what you should be. Claws are 5 each, and then you usually come in with a 6 attack card that's buffed by 2. Actually, it should have been 19 damage, right? Because the Smash with Big Tree was 9. So claw, and then 9.
9.5. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's true.
So that's a bit higher than what you would normally get. Of
Yeah.
course, you'd want something that has a go again, right? There are certain cards that after you discard, you get the go again. But in this case, it didn't have the resources, or I guess he could have with the cross strat, but
Yep.
the hand just didn't have it.
So it looks like Alvaro going to pitch to load Voltaire to get that card out of his hands, which means he doesn't have to discard for Tome because that was his last card.
Mm,
We do
yep.
see the Falcon Wing coming in here, so he's gonna get the Ponder. He's got a Falcon Wing Death Touch coming in for 3 and then 6, so he's gonna come back for 9 himself. So that's
Um,
that's the thing with Death Touch. It's good when it's good, but the issue is it blocks for 2. So you see how all these 2 blocks are coming in Alvaro's hand when he
yeah.
needs to be blocking in um these kind of it's weird because all Alan's cards are all vanilla. Like it's all just vanilla damage. So he's just blocking to
hmm
preserve some life, and his hands have just been very subpar on the damage front. Like he came back for 9, he came back for like 12, 13.
Yeah.
Um, starting with like his opening hand, his turn 0 hand might have just been forced 4 arrows, and so he just ended up
hmm
loading, and none of them being Falcon Wing or maybe like Bolton Shot or whatever. It's just like 4 arrows,
Arrows
arrows,
that
like,
didn't have go again,
arrows.
and there was no way to give them
Or
go again
waiting,
besides snaps.
unless it snapped. Yeah, exactly. So that might have been quite unfortunate. I think over blocking with the tunic, I think was a
Mm,
mistake. I think that tunic is like this game is not going that short. It's
yeah.
mainly oh he's just gonna no
I
okay there's no way you pass okay you just flipped it for Codex
Yeah.
got it.
I think he was just so sure about a pummel that he didn't want to sacrifice the last card of his hand to keep the tunic. Right? It was because he really wanted to arsenal something there.
Sure, but
Um,
I would honestly just be like okay well
you got me.
He's
to
he's gonna
start.
he's gonna get one. He's gonna get one. I think you just no
Well,
block.
yeah, because you're giving up the tunic and you're gambling he doesn't give take that last card from you, right? So it's like
Mhm.
you might as well take the gamble and not give up a guaranteed tunic, because for
Sure.
Lexi it matters a lot, right?
Oh yeah,
The
like
tunic
this.
counter matters a lot.
It does. You have three of a kind. Voltaire
Voltaire
load
costs one.
covers this death touch. Would have covered this
Death
death
touch.
touch for free.
Yeah.
Um, in this case, it doesn't really matter. But like, if you only have tunic and death touch and arsenal, you don't need any cards. And if you have to block
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of cards, at least you're coming back for 6, which is quite strong.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So
Yep.
six
So
damage.
far,
That might be a blood rush in hand. I didn't really catch it. Like the bottom card of his hand looks like it might be a blood rush,
I do
but
see that endless maw is the
endless
first
maw
card.
is there. Yeah. Okay. So actually, I mean, it won't be enough to close out the game, right? Lexi has 11,
Mm,
but um, it's a lot of pressure. Coming in for 9 on a single card is a lot of damage. But then you have to account for the fact that you're going to be taking 3 blood debt per turn after that
Sure.
point, which could matter
Mm,
a lot. If Lexi doesn't go to lethal, she can come
yeah.
back with a big turn. If she puts you on a single card or 2 cards left, you can't really come back for enough to close out the game, and then blood debt kills you. So it
Yeah.
might be a misplay to play it next turn, but we'll see how much pressure he can exert. And I think it is a blood rush actually.
Depends on what his arsenal is, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
still has cross strap. Um, he still does have the last
hmm
armor piece on his scabs. Like he can roll scabs here,
I
and just like
think
if he misses, just go gamblers and just have a really big turn.
that's true. Yeah, I think because you have cross straps still active, you would probably blood rush into claw and then maw. So claw for 5 and maw is going to be that's a lot, 16 damage just for those 2 cards. And if you have the
And
ability to play one more claw, that's 21 damage, which is going to be way more than enough way more than enough to put Lexi in a place where she can't really come back from.
will be 10, 10. It'd be 5, 5. What is Monk
11.
for
It'll be
7?
9 plus 2.
True, but you would get the plus. How much off the discard? Because you discard 3 cards, no?
You banish 3
Off
cards, you
endless
mean?
monster effect?
You
Yeah,
have
you
to
banish
banish a 6
cards.
power to gain the plus 3, I believe. So it's a 6 and then it gains plus 3 to 9.
Yeah, and he has like mostly 6 powers in the
Yeah,
grave.
he'll get it. I think there's a very slim chance he misses this. There's Blood Rush in his grave. There's a pummel, um, maybe 2 pummels. He might have blocked with one. I forget, but there's a chance, although it's slim.
Yeah, yeah, he only needs one 6 power
Honestly,
too. So
I think he should go for it. He should just take he took the death touch and then just come back with something that'll make Lexi have to block you, and then you just kind of close out the game from there.
this is more interesting because he's got 2 frailties now. So if he claws, the blood
Mm,
rush is nullified. So like blood
that's a
rush is
good point.
essentially.
Yeah, I didn't really account for the frailty, so that's going to be really tough on a Blood Rush turn because your main
Yeah.
power comes from claws, right? So you're losing 4 power, and the arsenal as well gets -2.
The vibration worked this time around. So good vibrations on Alan's side.
Okay, so very good to
And
not have to claw here. I think he's just going to
yeah,
go attack action, attack action.
attack. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, what he wants to do is something into CNC. If he has CNC, that'd be
Mm.
fantastic. It's
Oh,
like Swing
yeah.
Big's a very good card to start off with. So
hmm
coming in for
Minus
8,
two though for 6 actually because of the 2 frailties. So that's
yeah,
a bit rough.
it is from Arsenal. It is a bit rough. Now, what he has to do is pitch for the second Swing Big. So it's interesting because
Yeah.
Alvaro could like block for 6 and gain the Quicken, and the Quicken's pretty good at Lexi, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I wouldn't I wouldn't fault him for blocking the 6 and actually getting
Yeah.
that Quicken.
So I think the play here is going to be to maybe use cross trap for swing big. Okay, never mind. He's pitching the blood rush. I don't know how
He's
much I
getting
like that. I might have preferred to actually use the cross trap here, and get a free swing big. Oh, sorry, it's an endless
that.
maw. Oh, sorry. I don't know if he was able to do that. Oh, he had a floating. Never mind.
He had one floating,
You
yeah. 'Cause Swing Big only costs 2.
so couldn't you have used cross trap here, and then play the endless maw for free essentially, and kept your blood rush for next turn? Endless maw
And
will put
Arsenal
Lexi
would,
at
yeah.
2, and Arsenal blood rush. It might be better because a blood rush is almost guaranteed to finish Lexi off on a 3 card hand. I don't think she has the power to put you on lethal,
Mhm.
or she might be close, but you can give 1 card off up and then blood rush with a 3 card hand and almost
Yeah.
guarantee lethal with 2 claws and something.
Yeah. I tend to agree that I prefer to stick the Blood Rush in the Arsenal.
Hmm.
Now, it could be that he doesn't really want to risk having to keep a bunch of cards if Lexi claps back. Because he's only at
Again,
10.
he's
Alan's only at
forgetting.
10.
He's
He's forgetting
forgetting the 9.
maybe he just doesn't like the number 9,
Mm,
and he prefers 5 and 4. That's his prerogative.
yep.
Um, Blocking with premeditated, which blocks for 2, I believe. So it looks like Alvaro's
Ooh.
gonna go down to
So how
go
how do
down.
you like that kind of taking it slower as Lexi, basically giving up your turn at this point because there's no way you can get lethal on a 2 card hand. Um, so it's like,
How do I like this? I mean,
or would you keep enough to
not.
put lethal, right? To push for lethal.
I don't think he has a choice at the matter. If he doesn't block, he goes to 2.
2. I
Like he
guess
has
you're
to
in
block.
reckless swing range, so maybe that's why. Because the
Yeah,
reckless swing will come in for 2 if it blocks.
depends what his arsenal is. Rain razors. Okay,
Oh
so
no, he's gonna take a turn off. I don't know how much I like taking a turn off when you're at 4 health. I don't know. That might just
I
be
mean,
my
you guys
playstyle. I
see.
kind of like just going low and coming back with something bigger. But
Yeah, well, it looks like
that's
another
just me.
5.
Mhm.
All right, Alan showing everyone why he's 3-0
Yeah,
at the moment. He's not actually 2-1. Just want to remind everyone. He's
yeah.
3-0 at this
The
point. So,
scoreboard does say 2-1, but both players are 3-0 at this point in time.
yeah, so this is very good because this allows him to go for like guaranteed lead.
And now you're seeing some intimidates come through. You
There's
don't even
there's
need a Reiner. Just get some intimidates off of pack haul or
Yeah,
pack
because
hunt.
the
Sorry.
pack hunt,
Yeah,
pack hunt,
pack
yeah,
hunt.
pack hunt intimidates, which is kind of funny because
Mm.
usually you only see Rhinar intimidated, but like
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
these root cards just
You
have
forget there's
intimidate.
some built-in. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean Alpha Rampage is a Rhinar specialization,
it
but
is. Yeah.
pack hunt, there's a couple
Um.
more that just have
Yep.
intimidate.
There's what's it called? Barraging beatdowns might be
Yep,
played. I don't know if it's played in this list, but it's of course legal in Levia.
beatdown sound kind of mid Levia just because they're
Hmm.
not a power, and
Yeah,
you are
and
going to
you
be punishing.
can't. You want to kind of bank on multiple intimidates per turn to really get that
Yeah,
guaranteed damage off, because otherwise it's no buff, right?
you got the second swing big
That
here.
might be lethal here. I think Lexi has 1 card and that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
So he has New Horizon, but he blocks 5 and takes 3 and goes to 0 anyways.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So I had no idea what this game was gonna turn out to be. So I'm
Hmm.
actually very surprised to see Levia almost out tempo slash out aggro Alexi in this at this point, right?
So let's remember what he had to do to get there. Like he had to hit
Made a deal
two
with
out
the
of three
devil.
scabs.
Made a
He had
pact.
to hit 2 out of 3 scabs.
Hmm.
Each one of those scabs essentially equated for
An extra swing big in this case, which is 8 damage.
6 to 8 damage.
Yeah, each.
Right.
14 damage roughly.
So he had to pump another 14, and he ended the game at what did he end the game at?
10.
Yeah. So he ended the game at 10. Now you're taking how many cards? 4 cards from Lexi, right? Because you're taking a double block in the first swing big, for the swing big for 6,
Hmm.
the one on Arsenal, and you're
Yep.
taking another 2 cards with a swing big for 8, like
Yeah. Or this
relatively
was
small.
1 card,
Okay,
but for lethal, right? So it would have been 2 if you could have afforded it.
exactly. So you're taking a full hand out of Lexi. Now, I think he literally needed. He didn't need both, but Levi only had one more armor on scabs. That's all he had left. Like he didn't really have.
Yeah.
He didn't. Did he? He didn't use cross strap here too, did he?
No. No, it
Um,
wasn't even required. Yeah, that's the funny thing.
so
Could have been Husk.
I think you were I think you were definitely correct. No, I don't think it's Husk in this matchup.
Hmm.
I think
Well,
you just
knowing the deck now as
Levia's
it is,
plan.
yeah, I know
Yeah,
cross trap
Levia's
is the
plan is
play.
to run. Is
Yeah.
to like run at him. Now, I think you're absolutely correct in that the biggest misplay that here actually came from Levia and not using the cross strap to swing
The endless maw.
the endless maw. Now,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like if there's some way that he like couldn't have done that, but I can't really like breaking the chain there doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you're just
There
gaining
was
2. You
nothing
break
that
the
was on the
chain.
chain that would
There's
have
nothing on the
mattered.
chain that require. Yeah, exactly. It was just endless maw coming in for whatever. You're gonna banish 3 cards regardless. Now,
Right, you're taking the risk of endless maw regardless. So you could have probably just kept the blood rush.
yeah, I think I wholeheartedly agree that you burn the cross strap because the blood rush is
It's a key card. Like you could
unless you're
guarantee lethal with that card.
like what he decided to do is he decided to risk another scabs roll, which could have went
That's true.
actually to
He,
close out a game.
he was safe to not roll a 1 because he has the gamblers, so at least he had that
Sure.
backup. But he wouldn't have had lethal if he rolled like a 2 or a 3 there. you don't pop
You don't
gamblers
have
for that,
lethal.
obviously. So Lexi could
Also,
have
what if
probably
you
come back.
what if you one reroll another one? Like I'm not saying it'll happen,
You
but
could,
like
yeah.
things do happen, right? And I
It's
feel
like a
like
3% chance. It's a low chance, but it could happen. Yeah.
happens, right? So I think the cross trap should have been used
Mm-hmm.
there to save the blood rush and arsenal because CNC, like we've seen one CNC of Lexi. I don't think Lexi was keeping that many cards to CNC back, and even if you CNC back, you just block with two three
You blocked, yeah, you
block with
block
two
with two
three
cards
blocks.
exactly, or you have
Yeah,
your scab skins with one, and then you can use a two and a three,
correct.
right? So you had a
Yeah,
safe block.
worst case scenario. Yeah, exactly. Worst case scenario, you block with two three blocks if you want to block with two three blocks, and you
Mm-hmm.
pitch for blood rush, discard your last card. You have two floating, right, with pace for a claw, and then you're gonna have two more cards. So you either pitch again, go with a claw, and you're still
Mm-hmm.
swinging for 10,
Yeah.
and then you arsenal your last card, or you have another attack action and you pitch for that attack action, which is probably minimum 8, right? Because the lowest power card would probably be a 6, I would
Six.
imagine.
Yeah, there aren't many
So
that
you're
are
going
lower
up
than
to
that.
8. Yeah, you're going up to 8 with your blood rush. You're coming in for 13, even when you're blocking for 6. So that's a total of 19 value, like 6 block.
Yeah, the
Uh,
cross trap did some work, or would have done some work.
it would you roll 5 on scabs, you roll 5 on scabs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying like
But
that I think was
it's
the
a
biggest
lot
mistake
safer to
there.
keep blood rush, and Lexi being at
Yeah.
4, a blood rush can easily cover a full hand plus 4. Like
Like
definitely. Like there's
we've seen
no
so
no doubt
many
about that.
two blocks of Alvaro's deck.
Mm.
Like we've seen death touches, we've seen premeditate. Like I think he's run like these decks are still run a bunch of like they run mainly 3 blocks, sure, but there will be 2 blocks. Like he had to 2 block to cover the pommel with the tunic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are like he could be running winters. I think he's his fuseless, but there could be other 2 blocks here. I think
Mm-hmm.
the other play like I think the opener. So like looking at the Lexi side, Alvaro side, he opened the game with Searing Shot. So he turned 0, double Arsenal, opened with Searing Shot, Snaps, Sedation Shot with his, which was the other arrow, and then he just pitched a Drill Shot, and then that was double blocked, and then he tomed, got a CNC. He did not have a Falcon Wing yet, otherwise he would have been able to tome, get the
Mm-hmm.
Falcon Wing, and then Sedation Shot, which comes in for 3 and then 6, rather than
Mm-hmm.
CNC just for 6. So he would have got 3 more damage, and Sedation Shot hits. Getting Levia off Arsenal is actually quite good. I feel like Levia
Yeah.
really likes the 5 card hands because she's very either pitch hungry or she just needs it to explode off the game here. So
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah, because
have
you
it
can puppetry, right? So
fine.
a 5 card hand with puppetry is insane.
Yeah, I also it would also be much better because when you get the ponder off the tome, it is a lot more risky to 6 card hand that with sedation shot because you have no snaps anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
if you ponder an arrow without go again and you have to arsenal it, you're in the same position you were in turn 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And well, turn 0 was a bit unfortunate having a 4 arrow. I'm assuming it's a 4 arrow hand. I think the
Yeah.
tome wouldn't have done anything because you play tome, you have to like discard you have
An
to get a card from the
arrow, and then
board.
you put an arrow back, right? Like I guess there's not really
Yeah, and you'd have
much.
to block. Yeah, you'd have to block too. You'd have to because your grave is empty because that was turn
See,
0.
there's
So
no
turn
targets,
1,
right?
well, he'd block something from
Oh,
ally.
sorry. Of
Block
course, you
yeah,
block on Levi's turn, then on your turn you play the
correct.
tome out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but like it's not a great play, right? And it doesn't look like he had anything else. He just had a bunch of arrows.
Yeah. So
Um,
exactly. So you're frailtying in an arrow that you would have had to place your snaps with anyway. So
yeah,
it's
it was
tough
a little
regardless.
unfortunate. I don't think it was a misplay to Arsenal the double arrow. I think you need to like get off the ground running. Um,
Yeah.
Now,
It's for.
unfortunately, like he did end up arsenaling that ponder target. Uh, Luckily for him, it was Falcon Wing, and
Mhm.
so Falcon Wing did have go again, but that could have gone quite subpar because I think if you grab any other arrow without go again, you cannot risk arsenaling it because I think you just lose. You like not straight up, but like you might have to just like double block, fire an arrow, arsenal pass, which is
Mm.
if you're trying to be the aggressor, you're down 10 health at this point. It's
Mm.
25 to 35, and you're
Yeah.
firing an arrow. And you're
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
Levia with cross strap. I feel like you're a little doomed. So I think Alvaro lucked out a little bit in
Yeah.
that he was able to 4 card hand. He was able to turn the Tome Ponder into a 4 arrow. Um, the issue, none of those arrows did anything other than sedation shot, giving inertia. So it was Falcon
Mm.
Wing, Bolton, Bolton, Bolton shot without Arsenal. It doesn't really matter because he was
Mm.
firing 4 arrows. Like the big
Yeah.
deal with Bolton Shot is it helps you turn your regular two arrow, three arrow hands into a three arrow or four arrow hand,
Right.
depending on how many
The
arsenals you have.
extra
That's the
reload.
main idea. Exactly. That's the whole point. But he's not getting that sedation shot out because he has no snaps. So he can't start with sedation shot. It's very
Right.
similar to the Matt Folks one, where he
Mm-hmm.
snaps started with the one arrow he had in the arsenal. Like he didn't have,
Right.
and yet he didn't have the two. He had the one. It's the same kind of idea though in this case, but here it makes more sense because Alvaro can Falcon Wing snaps to sedation if he wants to, and if he had three of a kind, amazing, right? Because if he has
Yeah.
three of a kind there, he then can use those Bolton shots and actually go for a 4/5 card
Yeah,
arrow.
and I was gonna bring up too that we didn't see three of a kind, so a little unlucky not to draw it in the first like I don't want to say like third of their deck. I don't think we went really that far, because it was just so aggressive back and forth. But in the first third of the deck, no three of a kind. That would have definitely helped close the gap. Levi being on 10 health, three of a kind could have easily surpassed that and made Levi block with like three or four card hands, right?
No, I totally agree. I think the other issue there is that if he draws it, is he block? Yeah, like he can't
Does he
really
block?
block.
No, I think he has to block. I mean,
Yeah, he's taking like a metric amount of damage here. Now the other issue is that Alvaro ended up on that big four arrow hand. He drew two more red arrows that he was pitching to load these cards. So he was a little bit he pitched a heat seeker and a remorseless to be able to fire
okay,
Voltaire
yeah,
Voltaire on Bolton shots, and he still had to use Tunic to get the sedation out, right? So he had
yeah,
to use Tunic fairly early. So I feel like he was getting a little like now, I don't know if that's a
pitch
unlucky thing or a
starved.
ratio thing. I don't know if that's a maybe he just has too many arrows. I have no idea how
Mm,
many arrows he has in the deck, right? If he's running like 45 plus arrows, he might be
right.
getting like arrow glutted here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he was able to kind of do that. Again, no strict misplays in my opinion up till now until the CNC.
Mm,
Um, so the CNC on Allen's turn, I don't know if you see the scabs roll of two and just assume they
mm.
have pommel on
That's a
four.
very good point because they're rolling scabs obviously for a reason, and they want to get off two attack
Sure.
actions. So
I would assume it's two attack actions.
yeah,
Pommel would be the last thing that I'm thinking of. Rolling a thing.
4D chess play, you roll scab skins to make your opponent think you have two actions, and then you come out with the
Okay,
pummel.
but okay, then what happens when you roll one? Like I don't.
Gamblers.
But like you know what I mean? You just
Is it worth the
consider.
risk? Yeah, yeah.
No,
You're
I don't
right.
think
Seeing the
so.
gamblers roll, not the gamblers, the scab skin roll,
Yeah,
you would have hedged towards two action points, and then
sure,
you keep the tunic, and you risk losing the last card of your hand. Because arguably, tunic is better than the single card in your hand, right? I think
sure.
almost always, unless it's like a three
Yeah.
of a kind. So it's
No,
like,
you think you're right.
yeah, you probably don't
Um,
risk it, or you do risk it, and don't just throw away your tunic.
I'm not a brood player by any means. I just think like objectively speaking, when you're with those two options, I feel like you're already up in life. You don't
Yeah,
really need to be like double debating someone who's already on the back foot without an
you're
arsenal
right.
card.
You're
That's,
right.
that's the thing. You're seeing them. Like if you're seeing them, have no arsenal. You don't.
You
Why do
had
you
no
care about
arsenal. Yeah,
pummel?
you were only
Like
playing around pummel. Yeah,
you're still at 25. You take the 10, discard a card, and come back with three. Like you come back with your three cards.
right.
Like
So you don't even bother blocking, is what you're saying. Just like kind of keep your
I
four card
really
hand,
don't like.
lose one
I don't like.
card, and
Yeah, I don't like giving up the tunic for this block.
yeah,
So
yeah.
his actual block here ended up being unfortunately he's kind of like covering a lot of the cards with it. I can see if I can. So it was a
I
heat
think there were at
seeker.
least two arrows on the top. It might have been a infecting shot, maybe underneath that.
Yeah, so it was a tunic and three other cards. So I think it was just
He just
three
wanted to cover
threes.
the 10, right?
Yeah, three threes and a one. Now, infecting shot, something, and then something else that was white border. So the white border needs to be some probably set another arc arrow.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
whatever that happened to be, and he ended up keeping what was the one card he kept? It
He
looks
arsenaled
like
it.
it was
Maybe Death
Death
Touch.
Touch.
Death
It was
Touch.
Death Touch, which is fair because he can't
It's a
block with
it's a
that one,
two
right?
block. So
Because it's
yeah,
block
yeah.
exactly. Um, yeah, so he had Death
Mm.
Touch, probably three other arrows. Not the greatest of hands.
Death Touch did
Uh,
put in a lot of work, though, I will say, because he did end up having. So it was two frailty tokens that were given. He did have to use a swing big from Arsenal that came in for 6 instead of 8. It gave the the Quicken token, but he ended up using it. Like it's still there on the field,
Sure.
right? Because the hands were
Sure.
always used to block, but it still blocked for two, and it prevented Allen from playing Blood Rush, right? Because
Sure.
there's no point in playing it, in my opinion, if your claws are coming for three
Minus
each.
two. Yeah.
It's like a
No,
too big
you're
of a
totally.
deficit.
Yeah, it's totally right. However, I think my issue is that I think Alvaro ended up blocking with two death touches and played one. And
Mm,
so those two death touches could have been him at two more health,
mm,
which kind of counteracts the fact that you're getting a minus one off claw off blood rush eventually. You're
right.
definitely losing those two health when you block with death touch if you're because both times he blocked, he was taking damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little awkward because you do have to you can't load it and fire it. You have to get in an arsenal some other way, either a Codex of Blood Rod, which I don't think Alvaro is running,
Mm,
Codex of Frailty to get it from the grave, which he didn't. Um,
yeah.
I honestly probably would have cut Death Touch in this matchup,
Okay.
just because I want as many three blocks as possible versus Levia. Because the way you're losing is you're taking random damage, and then
Yeah, and
drawing
there's no
stuff
on
like
hits, right? So it's like what do you decide? How do you decide what to block? You just got to block
yeah,
vanilla damage here and there, right? And you got to be more efficient about it because you're not just blocking on hits. Well, you're not blocking on hits. You're
yeah,
just blocking vanilla damage. So three blocks obviously make a
sure.
lot of, make a big difference here.
It's true, and the last thing here that I want to finish off with is Death Touch is just another whiff to three of a kind, right?
Yeah.
Like unless you're unless you really are playing stuff like Blood Codex of Blood Rot to enable Death Touch being played in all kinds of hands,
Mm,
um, it's never the greatest target off Frailty. I feel like you're always getting an error off Frailty, like Codex of Frailty. Like the thing with Death Touch comes in for six rather than the five breakpoint arrow. You're still taking two cards, but the arrow can be like you could do more with it, right? Because you can finish off that arrow. You also probably are targeting like a zero cost arrow in a lot of cases, especially when you don't have Tudic. You're targeting a zero
mm-hmm.
cost arrow, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like Death Touch probably not the choice in this matchup. It definitely did a lot more harm than good. Like the one hand was fine, 3 and 6, giving him the second frailty. But like I think Alan plays around it by keeping Blood Rush.
And
He
he
did it
rolls
in this
two. Yeah, he
piece.
rolls a five on scab skins and comes in with two
Yeah,
big meaty attacks.
life is good. Like the swing big, you got the quicken, okay, but it's two damage regardless off the other two blocks with Death Touch.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't really cut it for me. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the Levia. So Alan ended up 4-0ing his Swiss and then 0-3 his first draft. So
Oh
we didn't
no.
really get to see him on day two. Yeah, this is a reminder. Everyone's got to pay attention to both formats. You got to
Brush up
practice both. And,
on your drafting. Yeah.
hey, maybe he got unlucky. Maybe he just like got smushed by like very seasoned drafters. I'm not really sure. But the point is, we weren't able to see him in any of the sec day two pod
Yeah.
of like the
Like
streamed
streamed
game.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he dropped and played the calling at X3. I
Makes
think
sense.
I'm not
Makes
100%
sense.
sure, but I think 0-3 in a draft, and you have to start day two with another draft because that's
Yeah.
what it was. CC draft CC.
CC.
So like not really what you want to start with. I think so. It makes sense. But yeah, this was the game. If you appreciated the content, if you like this kind of content, feel free to like, comment, and
We'd
subscribe.
appreciate the like, comment, and subscribe.
We would. And from wherever you're watching in the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Bye for now.